The British boxing media are tearing into Johnny Nelson over his belief that Tyson Fury won't go through with the Alexander Usyk rematch. One interviewer said that his comments were wacky and out there and totally far-fetched, basically. They were ridiculing him. You'd think that Johnny Nelson had just told him that the moon is made of cheese. Now, I'm not saying that Johnny Nelson will be proven right necessarily, but his position is perfectly reasonable. It's not as if Tyson Fury's never pulled out of a fight before, is it? It's not as if he's never told a lie or changed his mind before. The man's got a long history of it. So the response from these boxing media guys is totally absurd. And it's yet another example of how infested the industry is with Tyson Fury yes men and sycophants. It's actually disgusting. One of them said, well, Johnny, when AJ lost to Ruiz, you didn't question whether he would take the rematch. AJ doesn't have a long history of pulling out of fights, you donut. AJ doesn't lie and go back on his word every single time he opens his mouth. Also, AJ was a much younger man when he lost to Andy Ruiz than Tyson Fury is now. Fury turns 36 next month. He's at a completely different stage of his career. Furthermore, AJ wasn't turning up to fights totally out of shape like Fury did against Ngannou, suggesting that he's maybe getting tired of the game. Stop comparing apples to oranges. The situations and the individuals are totally different. Johnny Nelson made his assessment based on the type of individual he believes Tyson Fury to be and the stage he's at in his career. Dear oh dear oh dear. How dumb and sycophantic are these Tyson Fury fanboys in the boxing media? It's actually disgusting. And you got people like Joe Gallagher running around saying that Tyson Fury is a man of his word. I mean, talk about perverse. All right, Joe, so if Fury ever fights AJ, are you saying he's going to do it for free at Wembley and give all the tickets away? Because that's what he said he was going to do. These people are so ridiculous. Now, again, I'm not saying that Johnny Nelson will be proven right, but I suspect I know something that may have influenced his assessment, and that is Prince Naseem Hamed. Because Johnny Nelson was gym mates with Naz for many years. And just like Tyson Fury, Prince Naseem was a very loud, brash, trash-talking character, very bombastic and narcissistic. He'd been boxing from a very young age, and in the 18 months or so leading up to the Barrera fight, which ended up being his first and only loss, he spoke about being bored of boxing, being tired of boxing. He would blow up in weight in between fights and what have you. His discipline was fading. His desire was fading. These are things he spoke about publicly while he was still undefeated. But he also said in many interviews that God would never allow him to lose a fight. And he really believed it. He thought he was the chosen one, God's favorite boxer. And so when he eventually did lose to Barrera, it completely destroyed the perception he had of himself for all those years, shattered it into 1,000 pieces. He was like Humpty Dumpty. He couldn't put himself back together again psychologically. He spoke about rematching Barrera after the fight, but it never happened. Instead, he disappeared for a year, came back against a mediocre opponent, won on points, and then retired. Folks, he was only 28 years old. Never fought again. Now, if you ask Naz why he retired, he claims it was due to hand trouble. But a lot of people don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I suspect Johnny Nelson don't believe it either. He knows Naz very well. I suspect he thinks that the Barrera defeat zapped Naz's head and that he just couldn't come to terms with it because, again, he truly believed that he was the chosen one, ordained by God as the Prince of Boxing, destined to never lose a fight. So when it happened and he actually did lose, it may have even dented his faith for a while. It certainly seems to have left him disillusioned. And when you combine that with the fact that he'd already made an enormous amount of money, he was happily married with kids, and he'd already grown bored of boxing, you can start to see why he never fought again. Now, judging by the terrible shape Tyson Fury was in for the Francis Ngannou fight, it's also reasonable to suspect, after a long, hard career with lots of money in the bank, that he might be bored of boxing as well. And if you think back to the run-up to the Usyk-Fury fight, Tyson Fury was saying things like, "I'm unbeatable." His brothers were also saying he was unbeatable. And here's the kicker. Tyson Fury repeatedly said that God would never allow him to lose to Alexander Usyk. You guys remember that? He said that God would never allow him to lose the fight. And he said it with conviction. Shades of Prince Naseem Hamed. And so, long story short, I think Johnny Nelson sees parallels between Prince Naseem and Tyson Fury in terms of their personalities and the stage they were at in their careers when they both lost. And I think that's at least partly why he doesn't think Fury will take the rematch. It's a perfectly reasonable belief to have. Again, I'm not saying it'll be proven right necessarily, but it's a perfectly reasonable thing to think despite what these idiots and sycophants in the UK boxing media would have you believe. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share. Thanks for watching.